everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Erica. I live in the Pacific Northwest region of the United States, and this is my knitting podcast. If you haven't already, please go ahead and like this video or subscribe. I don't think I've ever said that, and I feel weird about it, but it does help me out, so greatly appreciated. And then if you're looking for more day-to-day updates on knitting, or sometimes I post more personal stuff, you can follow my Instagram. It's at Erica Taylor Creative. I'll put it on the screen, and let's get into it. So during the last episode, I had said I was trying to decide if I wanted to knit a summer top or just go ahead and get into fall knitting. And everyone in the comments said that they were over summer as well, and that it's time for fall knitting. So I took that as my cue, and now I am knitting things for fall. And I guess I was not that inspired earlier, because now that I'm knitting for fall, I have so many ideas that I want to go over with you. So many patterns I want to make. I just needed to stop trying to knit seasonally for summer and get into fall, because I'm literally so excited. I feel like I could talk a million miles a minute right now to start going over everything that I really want to talk about. I'm going to try to slow it down and show you some stuff I'm working on currently, and then a bunch of knitting plans that I have. Okay, first thing, we'll just get two less exciting things out of the way and then get into talking all about fall. The first item that I have is a sock. Surprise, surprise. And I started this, had just barely started this when I filmed my last episode. I think I had knit like maybe that much. And this is just a self-drafted sock. You can see the texture. It's really cute. So I started by knitting 3 rounds to give me this little rolled edge, and then purled a row, and I continued that stitch pattern on the entire sock. So it's knit 3 rounds, purl a row, knit 3 rounds, purl a row. My favorite number of stitches to cast on for a sock is 60. I like a snug sock. I wear a women's like 8.5, 9 size shoe. US women's 8.5, 9. And so I like my my socks pretty snug, or snocks. And I'm really happy with how this is looking. I like the color, and this is my favorite sock yarn. It's the Isair sock yarn. I can't remember the color name. I'll put it down below, but these are just a fun, simple knit to work on when it's too hot to work on sweaters. That was also so much advice I was getting in the comments. Everyone said if you're over summer knitting, start working on sweaters. If you get too hot, knit a sock, knit a mitten, something small. So that's what I've been doing. Okay, the last summer item. I'm knitting one more summer item. I know this is all about fall, but I have one summer thing, and I'm almost done with it. And then for real, it's gonna be all fall. Here it is. Don't want to lose any stitches. Okay. I am making another Carry Me bag by Wool and Beyond. I have stitches right here. So right now I am working on the side, the first side, and then I'll need to knit up that side. So I'm almost done. I just need to knit up this, finish this side, and then knit the second one and the strap, and we're done. So I'll use this the rest of summer. This is cotton yarn from Hobby. The color I'll list below as well. It's a perfect true green, like this color green. It looks a little different on camera than it does in person. But it's very much a Kelly green. Reminds me of a green Crayola marker, just true green. And I'm really happy with how it's looking. This pattern's really fun to make. I wouldn't say it's beginner friendly, just with how some of the directions are. I've noticed that with a lot of Wool and Beyond patterns. You kind of have to understand knitting before you make them, because she doesn't like hold your hand through a lot of the steps for her patterns. But really happy with how this is turning out. I can't wait to use it, so I need to finish it up so I can use it this summer, because your girl is ready for fall. Okay, it's time for the main event, fall knitting. Let's get into it. To begin, I wanted to make a cardigan, my dream Yes, my dream cardigan by Wool and Beyond. It is knit in the round and then you steek it. I've never steeked anything before, but I really want to because I want to make a colorwork cardigan. But because I'm nervous to steek, I was thinking I'll start with a low risk project where I'm not taking forever to do color work and then somehow I ruin it. I just do a plain stockinette in the round sweater and then go from there. So here it is so far. I have knit the top, some of the top, and then when I ran out of yarn, I didn't attach a new ball and I did the sleeves. So I have one finished sleeve and I've started the next sleeve and I'm really happy with how this is going. I am knitting this in Knitting for Olive Merino and their mohair. That is what the pattern recommends. I haven't knit, trying to think. Yeah, this is the first pattern from Wool and Beyond where I'm actually knitting it in the yarn that she suggests. I usually try to use stash yarn or find a cheaper alternative, so I'm really excited that I'm finally knitting one of her patterns in the yarn that she recommends for it. So this actually used to be a different sweater. I knit this into the It's Not a Sweatshirt sweater pattern from Knitting for Olive a long time ago, and I wasn't wearing it that much. So when I found this cardigan pattern, I was like, oh, I really want to knit it with Knitting for Olive, but I don't want to spend money on yarn for that right now. What can I do? And then I remembered my other sweater, so I unraveled the whole thing. It took a little while to unravel because of the mohair. It was sticking a little bit, but I just unraveled the entire sweater. And then I got a Nitty Knotty, this thing, so I could wind up the yarn into skeins and tie it and wash it so it wasn't looking like ramen noodles. So I did that, washed it, then I hung them up to dry. This was a long process. It was definitely worth it because I didn't have to buy new yarn, and I love that you can remake sweaters over and over and over again into something else. So I hung up the yarn to dry on my porch. I was complaining about the heat wave in my last video, but this video I want to say thank you to the heat wave because my yarn dried in an hour after washing it because it was 103 degrees outside, I want to say. So thank you to the heat wave. My yarn dried so fast. I think if it was winter, I can't imagine how long that would take. Weeks, something, I don't know. But it literally took an hour and a half. An hour and a half, something like that. I was timing it because I'm like so curious. How long is this gonna take? Because normally drying a sweater takes forever, but drying all that yarn was so quick with the hot weather. So after it dried, I wound it up again into cakes. I have a little one right here of what I'm using right now, and then I started knitting my sweater. So here it is. I'm really happy with how it's turning out. The fit is great so far. Let me see if I can try it on and show you. So I haven't knit very far on this arm, but look at that. It fits perfectly up to my armpit. Same over here. Just fits so well, and it's going to be great as a cardigan. And I have only knit a few inches down, but I'm just so happy with how it's turning out. Also, I love my little needle tip protectors. I've been knitting it to pattern. Yeah, so far I've been knitting it to pattern except for the decreases, which let me take it off and I'll show you. So I'm keeping track of all my decreases with these stitch markers, and you can see they're all pretty evenly spaced except for this gap right here. So while I was knitting it, I kept trying it on to see how I wanted the sleeve, because the sleeves are supposed to be pretty like close fitting and snug in this. So I'm decreasing. I get to here, which was like around my elbow, tried it on, and I was like, yeah, I don't know, I think it's getting too tight. I'm gonna just knit straight, finish the sleeve and knit the whole thing straight. So then I kept knitting, and then I tried it on here, which was like my forearm area, and I didn't want to knit straight anymore, so then I started doing decreases again. So I think I could have just followed the decreases fully. I have 10 decreases on here, and for the size I'm knitting I was supposed to do 11, so I really don't think if I had put one here it would make that much of a difference, but I did think for a minute there I just wanted to knit the rest straight. Since I'm not doing that, I'm just gonna do the sleeve the same exact way and have that gap in the middle, but no one will know except for me and now you, but it fits great, so I'm happy with how this is turning out. It's knitting up so fast. I feel like I'll finish knitting it pretty quickly, but then who knows how long I'll procrastinate on the steeking part because I'm very nervous to try steeking. Let me know if you have done steeking in the comments below, and if you have any tips, because this will be my very first time. I don't want to ruin this sweater, but it is better practice than doing it on a colorwork sweater that you spend so much time on. I mean, I'm gonna spend a lot of time on this too, but you get it. So let me know if you've done steeking before. Any tips you have, greatly appreciated. I want this to go well so that way I can do it again in the future. Okay, knitting plans. Before I took apart that sweater to make it's not a sweatshirt, to make it into my dream cardigan, I had taken apart another sweater. Here's the yarn from it. This was originally the Port sweater by Ozetta, and her pattern does not include instructions for stripes, but I added stripes to mine, and I loved this sweater so much. It just didn't fit how I wanted it to anymore, so I knew I wanted to take it apart. Originally, I thought I would just remake the Port sweater, same colors, same stripes, make a smaller size or change the fit a little bit, but then I started looking through Ravelry and seeing other sweaters that I've liked that this yarn would work for, and now I don't know what to do. So the first one I'm thinking about making is the Structure Loop sweater by Other Loops. So it's also a striped sweater, but it's a little more exciting than the striped sweater I made with this. It has quite a few Ravelry projects, and looking through them, I love all of them. So I'm not entirely sure if that's the one I want to choose, or there's another sweater by Petite Knitter, not Petite Knit. This is the designer, the Petite Knitter. Very similar and confusing, but they're different. And it's the Hytte. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but the Hytte sweater. And it's a more traditional colorwork sweater. So there's two options. I can either go stripes or more colorwork, and I can't decide. This is just caked up. I haven't washed it yet, so I have some time. I'm going to make sure I wash it in the summer, so that way it also will dry in like an hour or an hour and a half, and I don't have to worry about it. But let me know if you like either of those sweaters, or which one you think I should use, which pattern I should use with this yarn. This, I have to look back at what yarn these are. I know this one I bought from my local farmer's market from a sheep farmer, and this is the natural gray of the sheep. I can't remember where this light color's from, but this is just like some random worsted weight yarn from my local farmer's market, which is so cool. When I originally caked this up, I was like, ooh, it's really rustic, because hay and stuff was coming out of it as I was caking it up, which honestly it makes me like it even more. So let me know what you think, what sweater. Okay, more knitting plans. If you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen me post about this Eddie Bauer yarn. I went to my local Joann Fabrics over the weekend, and they were having a huge sale on yarn, and so I decided to try this. It's the Eddie Bauer Woolpaca, and it's 80% merino and 20% alpaca. I chose this really pretty olivey green color, and I'm really excited to try it out. So I have two patterns in mind for this. I posted on Instagram a poll to see which pattern people liked more, and the winner, I believe, was the korshavn. Again, please excuse my pronunciation. I don't know how to say that word or the other one. I'll post pictures of both of the sweaters. One is from Petiteknit and the other is from Strikkekaffe, and they're both cardigans. One is like a really pretty basket weave cardigan, the one from Strikkekaffe, and the one from Petiteknit is, I think, brioche, I want to say. Yeah. So I still haven't decided which one to make with it, but I really, really like this color. I think it would be a great fall project. Apparently I want to make lots of cardigans. I'm making one right now. I want to make a colorwork cardigan. I want to make this into a cardigan. But let me know what you think. Also, I love posting and talking with you all on Instagram too, so follow me there if you want. It's really fun getting instant feedback instead of after I post a podcast episode. So, love this. Let me know what you think. And let me show you another thing I'm thinking about making. Another thing that I really have been wanting to make is the porcelain sweater. It's so pretty. I love all the colors that people have been making it in. I look at it on Ravelry constantly and try to think of what colors I would choose, and it's so pretty. I think I may have narrowed it down to what I might choose, but I still can't decide. I want to use stash yarn for it, and I have the perfect background color, which is this beige, and it's from Drops. It's the Drops Flora. And then the thing that I can't decide is what the contrast color should be. So I have two options. Here's the first one, this really beautiful deep red. I bought this on my honeymoon, I believe. I can't remember where. But beautiful color. I think these look really good together. My only hesitation is I don't wear a lot of red, which I think is probably obvious if you watch my podcast. I'm constantly showing green and beige and white and stuff like that. So I'm unsure about this. And then the other option is this green. So I love these two colors together. I'm not sure if the contrast will be enough for the color work. And then this is leftover yarn from a test knit that I did. And you can see it has tweed flecks in it. So again, I'm not sure if that will be too much for the color work or if it will look really cool together. Here's the red. Well, they all look good together, but I only need two. I only need these two or these two. Let me know which one you like better. I know I should probably just swatch both of them and then go off of that, but swatching isn't the most fun, so I would prefer not to have to swatch both colors if I don't have to, but that would probably be the smartest thing to do. But let me know what you think, if you think this contrast would look great together, or if this is more what you think will look good. Okay, another cardigan that I really, really want to make. I have been wanting to make this for at least a year. I tried to make it in the winter and it didn't go well because I got overwhelmed by the pattern. So I would like to make it this fall. And it is the Billie cardigan by Sari Nordlund. I am going to knit mine up in white. This is the yarn she recommends. It's Cascade 220. I have a bunch of it behind me. That's what it is intended for. But when I tried to make it the first time, I got so intimidated that I gave up, but I think I'm ready to try again. There's so many cables, all over cables, cardigan. It's so beautiful. I would love to make it, but I'm just nervous about it, so I really want to make that. Speaking of cables, another cable sweater pattern that I have been wanting to knit forever is, well, what feels like forever, is the Guernsey genser by Sandnes garn. So it's knit up with double Sunday, and this is the color putty, a nice off-white color, completely different than what I want to make the Billie sweater in. Okay, but honestly I do think they are completely different, but other people will think I'm crazy. But anyway, I have tried knitting this 3 different times. So I followed the chart, and 3 separate times after doing a few rounds of the cable chart, I don't end up with the amount of stitches that I'm supposed to. I was very frustrated. I gave up. And then a couple days ago, I was like, oh, I still really want to make that. And I started looking at projects on Ravelry. And then I looked at the description page of the pattern on Ravelry. There's a correction for the chart. Let me just tell you, that made me equal parts feeling vindicated and irritated because I tried so many times and couldn't figure it out, and I thought I was like going crazy counting. So I felt really good that it wasn't just me that couldn't figure it out, that there's now a correction to the chart. So I need to print that out so that way I can finally knit that sweater. That has been on my knitting wish list even longer than the Billie cardigan. So I think after finishing more of my cardigan, this one that I'm working on right now, I think I'm gonna finally cast on the Guernsey genser again, and hopefully the chart is actually correct this time and I will be able to end up with the correct number of stitches. But that is another pattern I'm super excited about for the fall. And one last pattern for fall knitting. This is like pre-fall knitting. I bet I'll have another video with more patterns that I really want to make. But it is the Shadow Socks by the Petite knitter. And I'm going to use stash yarn for those. So these are the 3 colors I'm thinking. These look brighter on camera than in person, but this is a dark charcoal, and this is left over from when I knit Halloween socks last year. I made pumpkins and bats. So this is left over from that. It's going to be perfect for the cats. Pumpkins, bats, cats, very Halloween-y. And then I'll use this really pretty brownish, goldish color for the moon behind the cat, and then the rest will just be white. And this is the Issei sock yarn, and it's just in white. I love this sock yarn. Already thinking about Halloween patterns, sock patterns. I'm sure after I make these, I'll already start thinking about Christmas sock patterns. I just can't help it because I freaking love knitting socks, and I love knitting colorwork socks. I'm just so excited about all of the fall knitting things. I can't decide on so many things because I have all these ideas swirling around in my head, and all of them sound so fun, and I'm so excited, and I wish I had even more time to knit during the day. To knit, like, I want to knit 24/7 because there's so many things I want to make, or I need to learn to knit even faster so I can finish stuff faster and make more things. But that being said, very excited for all the fall knits. Thank you for everyone encouraging me on my last video to give up summer knitting and start knitting for the fall, because the amount of inspiration I'm finding and motivation I have to knit is like through the roof now that I'm thinking about next season. Let me know what you're working on. Please let me know any steeking tips for this cardigan. They're all so appreciated. And I hope you're having a great day, great week, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.